In this video, we're going to be evaluating the multi-store model. Most of the time, for theories or models, research evidence will be your logical starting point. Have we got any evidence to back up what is actually being proposed here? Now, there's lots of different options here. We'll start with lab experiments. Remember, key proposal, separate stores, particularly separate short-term memory and long-term memory stores. That's what most of the research will focus on. So have we got anything that suggests that to be the case? Well, most of the studies we've looked at do just that. Peterson and Peterson with duration, without the rehearsal, very limited, but we know we can remember things for a very long time, so that seems to give a distinction there between short-term and long-term, and also talks about the importance of rehearsal too. You've got that, but the study I like to use is the one by Baddeley. Now, I'm actually going to do a little activity in a separate video to try and help people interpret this study, but this basically shows support for short-term memory being coded acoustically according to sound, and long-term memory being coded semantically according to meaning. So I like this study because it addresses both short-term and long-term, so very useful study. However, alternatively, brain imaging, so brain imaging scans, to put it in simple language, if somebody's doing a short-term memory task on one part of the brain is active and they do a long-term memory task on a different part is active, that supports the multi-store model. If it was just one single memory store, then regardless of what you're doing, thinking about something you've just read or thinking about your favourite holiday, it wouldn't make any difference. But if we see different parts of the brain active, that again supports different stores. So yes, we've got prefrontal cortex appears to be associated with short-term tasks, and the hippocampus associated with long-term tasks. So that gives you a second potential source of evidence. Another source, the case study of HM in particular. Here, this is where he was having brain surgery to relieve epilepsy, but it had an impact on his memory. Short-term appeared to be normal, but he had impairments with many aspects of long-term memory, not all of it, but many aspects. And that again supports different units here, because if it was just one memory store, everything would be affected. So always keep that in mind. A multi-store model, have you got evidence to support these different stores? If it was just one store, you'd expect everything, consistent findings, wouldn't make any difference. If you're getting differing findings, that supports two different stores. Now, we have also got evidence to challenge this. This is a very useful case study to know, because you'll refer to it for the working memory model as well. So the case study of KF, this time it's damage from a motorcycle accident. And in relation to short-term memory, he was okay with visual tasks, but struggled with verbal tasks. Now, if short-term memory is just one single store, as the multi-store model proposes, then that doesn't really explain that finding. Why would you have a discrepancy? Surely if it's one store and it's damaged, that's it. It doesn't matter if it's visual, verbal, short-term memory task. So this suggests that actually a single short-term memory store is too simplistic, and that we should actually be looking at separate stores, which ultimately is what we're looking at with the working memory model, where yes, there's other aspects to it, but the distinction between visual and verbal stores is a key element. Okay, so you could link this case study to the development of the working memory model. But it's nice to have some general points in as well, and the working memory model proposes that it's the amount of rehearsal that's important. So the more you rehearse it, the more chance you've got of remembering it. That might be a bit simplistic, and Clayton and Watkins proposed this distinction between maintenance rehearsal, that keeps it ticking over, and elaborative rehearsal, which adds meaning to it, makes links to existing memories, and seems to be much more efficient. So that's why I'll be telling people, don't just sit there rereading your notes. That sort of maintenance, turn it into something meaningful, apply it, make it into something colourful. That's much more likely to get it to stick more efficiently. Yes, if you keep saying something, it may well be stored in long-term memory eventually, but it's almost like elaborative rehearsal could give you a shortcut. The multi-store model doesn't take that into account, so you could put that as a limitation of the model. Okay, so that should give you plenty of evaluative material to use.